Hello you guys, hello friends, welcome to another video. If you're new here, I'm Kemdy. I want to say thank you for clicking, thank you for tuning in. So today we are taking a trip down memory lane. I want to first of all say thank you to all my new subscribers. Thank you for joining the family. Thank you for clicking on that subscribe button. I see you all, I see you all, and I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for being part of this journey, and I hope you stick around and we'll grow together, see where life takes us, right? Actually, I have uploaded the first part of this video, which is the bridge of no return, our ancestral tale. So if you have not seen that video, you can go check it out. Okay, but today we are doing a continuation, and today we are looking at the Women's War Memorial. And so we're looking at the lives of these women, or the life of those people before the riot and after the riot, what their life was like. And if you see me looking down, that is because each sculpture or painting or picture actually came with a little bit of write-up to help the person who is viewing understand what they're actually seeing. So I would be reading from, I made a list of all of them, like I have my notes entirely filled up. So let's get into the video. You guys, I'm inside the gallery. Whoa, a lot of stories here, a lot of stories here, a lot of stories here. I don't even know where to start. Like, God of mercy, most of the stories I'm hearing today, I've never heard them before. This is like my first time actually seeing, hearing about them. You guys. This Memorial Hall is actually located at Ikot Abasi, one of the local governments in Akwa Ibom State, Ikot Abasi. Have you been to Ikot Abasi? I've asked that before. What do you know about Ikot Abasi? Please just leave it in the comment section below. This hall was sponsored by her distinguished Senator Helen Iswene in honor of the heroines of the 1929 Women's Riot. And when you walk into the Memorial Hall, just beside the building, there is a sculpture there. The first sculpture you see there, it represents a female activist and a colonial administrator who lost her life during the 1929 Women's War. This sculpture shows that women of the then Obowo district or kingdom were engaged in fishing as part of their economic activities. The funny thing is, I don't think I have seen men. I've seen women in the trade of fishing right now. Yes, women sell fishes in the market. You see them, carrying it up and down. But I don't think I've ever seen a woman who is actually involved in the in the act of fishing. I've not seen it. But then, funny enough, women were actually fisher. What would they call them? No, now we say fishermen. They were actually fisher. They actually had fisher women at the time. That's interesting. The peaceful protest of the women of the old eastern region took a different turn when the colonial troops decided to go physical to dispense them, combined with the knocking down of two of the protestants by those who were fleeing from the area in panic. Suddenly, the peaceful protest became physical, and the gallant women fought and gave their lives like the warriors they were. And that is interesting. So they were actually protesting, and while they were trying to disperse them, they mistakenly knocked down two of the women, and it now actually turned into something else. It actually turned physical. So I guess the intention was not for them to go physical. The intention was for them to protest against whatever it is that was going on at the time, which we're going to get into later in this video. I don't know how many of us are familiar with this story. Can you just go ahead and share the parts you're familiar with, or the ones you were told, the story you were told, maybe by your father, by your great-grandfather, by your mothers, and all of that? I really like to hear, because this is a little bit different from this story is little bit different from what I was told growing up. I don't know how many of us still feel the same way. This map shows the important places of the old Ogbobo region, the stations, banks, factories. So they had that area had banks, they had factories, you know, they had train stations and all of that. Interesting. Before the women's revolt in 1929, the people of former Eastern region, like others during the colonial administration, lined up and gave their lives, serving the sole interest of the colonial mission, the wealth of the Britain. So the sole mission as at that time was to improve, increase, expand the wealth of Britain. That's funny. This was why traditional rulers and institutions were set aside. Land was put into use without the people's consent. Cash crops were introduced to promote European economy. The courts, the police force and army were set up to force harsh laws and colonial policies that benefited only the Britain. This also was why taxes were introduced to further take from the people the little they got for all their labor to serve European homes and colonial administration. So they actually introduced taxes to take what the people had left after all the hard work and everything, just to serve, you know, the British, I don't know, the British mission, let me put it, their mission here in Nigeria or in this part of the world, in Africa. These especially maladministrations and inhuman treatment of natives were what women set out to stop by embarking on protests across former Calabar and Owerri provinces in what has come to be known as the Women's War or the Women's Riot of 1929. The event paved a way for introduction of administrative and constitutional reforms, which led to a national movement culminating in self-rule in Nigeria. Wow. They paid the supreme price for the freedom of their fatherland. Man, you know, that's one beautiful thing about women. When women set out to get something done, they change the narrative. Like, they really get things done. Like, when women rise up, oh my God, I wonder what has happened to our women of today. Seriously, have you ever thought about that? Anyway, let's continue. The women hit the December clarion call that summoned the women of the then Ogbobo district to rise and make a statement that would forever change the relationship between the colonial administration and the colonized people of southern Nigeria. A stand that would forever be remembered and celebrated by all. Angels cascade from above every now and then, some as men, some as women, but a very minute few there be who cascade as warrior women, and these are they who rose up to the occasion in the Women's Revolt of 1929, when they gallantly fought against the subterfuge of the colonial head count, which they suspected might preside the taxation of women as had been experienced by their male counterpart. So they were fighting against. They were protesting, actually. It all started as a protest. They were protesting against the subterfuge of the colonial head count. Okay, so they were, you know, they were having to come around and they count them, and you have to know the number of people who showed up for work and stuff like that. I think it's something like that. I don't know, but head count, I think that's what head counts mean. Just like they've already imposed taxation on the men, so now the women suspected this was what was done to the men. They started with head count and then they imposed the taxation. So now that they've started trying to start you know, counting the women too, that means that very soon they are going to start taxing the women too. Oh my God, that was really crazy. In the old Calabar province, the centers of resistance were Abak, Itu, Etimekpo, and particularly Obobo town Akwanga, that is Ikot Abasi, in Obobo Division. In Obobo Town, in the afternoon of December 15, 1929, the angry women destroyed the buildings of the native camp, dispensary and staff quarters with purses and clubs. When the chief, including Venerable Mark Pebble Jaja, who had voted in the Legislative Council for the imposition of tax on men, tried to stop them, and women assaulted them. And when the chiefs fled into a house for safety, the women demonstrated around for a long time and would not disperse until promised a meeting for next day. Chief Jaja later characterized the demonstration. I think we can see some of the things that led to the protest in the first place, and then it turned physical because of the way the troops reacted, and by knocking down the women and all of that. That really was what, really infuriated the women, and they had to go the extra mile. That is adolescents' innocence. The innocence of adolescents is portrayed in the dressing of the young adult girls who are seen walking about naked except for the beads worn around their waist in Old Obobo region. This is so funny because I remember one of the times that they talked about some guys or something molesting a lady or something like that, and they said that she was walking around naked. I said, imagine if these men had existed those days when these young girls, young girls walked around naked, only with beads around their waists. I mean, I don't know what the world was like there, but I just want to imagine that aside from the whole slave trade and everything, I want to imagine that it was interesting. When you can walk around naked, man, that's, I don't know. Ibibio costume dance is a gift from this region to Nigeria as a country. Their colorful attire, ornamentation, and body adornment uniquely complements their rhythmic dance steps characterized by graceful body sways. I think this is really popular with Nigeria, with most part of Africa. We have this colorful costume for dances, for marriage, and all of that. Edo has very, very unique ones. People from Calabar has some very unique. I went for a wedding. I attended a wedding one time in Calabar, and their traditional costume, their marriage costume, was that the bride was supposed to wear or wears. Man, it was interesting, but it was kind of heavy too. You guys, I can't imagine wearing something like that. And even the eastern part of Nigeria, every part of Africa, we have this rich culture, that has to do with that. Includes, welcomes lots and lots of colors. So I think we're very colorful people. Even raffia palms was a great value to the people of Old Obobo region, who weaved them into mats, thatched roofs, and several other items of value. This I think I know, because I know that in my place, the women also weave mats using this raffia palms. They weave mats, they weave baskets, they weave these attached roofs and all of that. So I think it's a common thing across Nigeria or across Africa as a whole. So you can see that we have a lot of things in common. Every part of Africa, we have something in common. We have so much in common, not just something in common. We have so much in common. Amalgamation House. I've been there. I've showed you guys a place, so you can check that out in my video. I think in that video, I'm going to link the video somewhere here so you can check it out if you've not seen it. The Amalgamation House, it was formerly the administrative headquarters of the Royal Niger Company. The Amalgamation House is a house in which Lord Lugard amalgamated the northern and southern protectorates in 1914. So that was even done before the 1929 riot, right? Making Nigeria one geographical entity. According to historical records, this also is where the ceasefire agreement between Nigeria and Biafra was signed in 1970. Man, Nigeria have been through a lot. Okay, which saw the end of the Nigerian Civil War. Okay, so premarital maidens dance. Culturally, the maidens of the old Obobo region partook in a premarital dance at the village square at dusk of the evening preceding marriage. They danced in the company of their friends and age groups with a piece of cloth and beads around their waist as the drummers played the well-known tune to which they danced the well-known dance, shaking every part of their body to the rhythm of the drum beats. I think this is something I had witnessed growing up at some point, but I don't think it was like those days. I think our own is more like the modernized type, but it's always very interesting when you come to the village square and you see young ladies, young girls actually dancing with their maids and preparing for their marriage and all of that. It's interesting. Like, I don't know how to dance that dance. I wish I could dance it with the. I don't know how to dance it. But I actually tried joining the dance group when I was in secondary school, then in the village, and I could hardly bend. Okay, let's go further. Slave trade was booming economic activity everywhere. The practice was entrenched, and the old Obobo region was a very famous route where all slaves from the old eastern region must pass through to the waiting slave ship that took them everywhere their fate led them. That's kind of sad. The griot is the undeniable custodian of oral tradition, which is the foundation of African history by Africans. Even though several African cultures developed some form of writing earlier, tales to the young by the elders has remained the most pertinent form of record keeping. Now, the problem I have with these tales is that somebody tells a tale now to this generation, the next generation that is telling it to the next generation will kind of skip some things and add something. So the more the story, spreads from generation to generation, it loses its truth. Like, do you understand? It loses its truth. It loses certain things and then have other things added to it. So we kind of have histories that are kind of mixed up, and over time, what we now know as what happened centuries ago, it's no more exactly what happened. Does it make sense? Success isn't just in working and laboring to produce a product. It is going all the way in protecting it and getting the fruits thereof. The people of the old Obobo region knew this, and that was why their men guarded their trade canoes as they traveled to their trade depots in the interkind markets in the height of the palm oil season, which is March to September, so that the labor of their hands won't end up in the wrong hand. And that is, this goes way, this whole banditry attacks and everything. It's not new. It's not new at all. While the men were engaged in fishing and farming away from their thatched roof mud houses, the women of the old Obobo region dominated in domestic life, assisted by the girls and other children, all wearing the famous Ibibio hairstyle, wrappers around their waist and chest, while the younger children played around the house naked except for the beads they wore around their waist. Abolition of killing of twins emanated from this region, a position championed by the Mary Cecil. During the colonial era, this was the beginning of hope for twins as well as joy for their parents, a major milestone in evolution of cultural trends in the country. Like when I remember the first time I heard the story of killing of twins, it didn't make sense to me. Like, why would you want to do that? You keep the one child, and then when it's multiple, you do away with them. Does it make sense? Does it make sense? Who are the gods that gave that? Let me shut up my mouth. Lugard House. The Lugard House is a one-story cottage where Lord Lugard lived at the time of the amalgamation. There were several colonial buildings in the area which served as offices, courts, residential houses, recreational centers, and so on. The structure has a basement with cast iron rails and also has a view of the Obobo River from the balcony. I didn't get to enter that house. I don't even know if I saw the house. I don't think I saw the house. I don't think I saw it, because if I had seen the house, I would have loved to go into the basement to see what it looks like. That is, if there's nobody living there. And the houses are kind of deteriorating, so I don't want anything falling on my head. As the name implies, Point of No Return is a bridge that was the last point of discharge of slaves from the various slave markets and warehouses to the waiting slave ships that eventually sailed them away from their fatherland into the slavery that has now become their lot and that of their children after them. German Bridge. The bridge was being built during the colonial era about 1902. Whoa. And reconstructed by the same German in 2002, which was about 100 years after it was first constructed. Palm fruit. Palm kernel oil, a major ingredient in the production of soap, is found in this region in commercial quantity. This made the region a hub for European merchants during the colonial era. Boat yard. Boat building yard was established in Akwanga by the Department of Commerce and Industry on a site formerly occupied by the United African Company. Within a few years, the industry manufactured a number of power-driven river crafts, including launches, freight-carrying barges, and fishing boats. I don't think it's still functioning. I don't think it's still functioning. There are men and there are men, as the saying goes. Okay. In the then Obobo district, present-day Ikot Abasi in Akwa Ibom State, elderly men wore white overflowing shirts, that's jumper, on wrappers complemented by the coral beads they wore around their necks and hands, caps with feathers at the side, and a walking stick, which all symbolized their noble statues and wealth. I think this is very common around the eastern region, the southern and eastern region, or the eastern and southern region. Like it's a common thing. That's how, everybody dresses. The men dresses, the elderly men dresses. Okay. Dying to live. We live to die and die to live. The women of Obobo district understood this mystery and brazenly staged the resistance that immortalized them. Of a truth, these women demonstrated that women are not the weaker vessels they were once thought to be. Yes, I totally agree. I hear people say women are the weaker vessels, women are the weaker vessels, and I used to say it too, let me not lie. But listen, when you look at what women are capable of doing, you know that women are not in any way weak. Okay, they are not weak. Palm produce exportation. The people of the then Obobo district were heavily involved in exportation of palm produce, which attracted many Europeans to trade with them, even as they in turn benefited from the jewelries they bought from the Europeans. Regional traders. Women of this district were known for their marketing ingenuity, trading on both farm and aquatic produce as well as imported goods. Their merchandising prowess could have been an area the colonialists wanted to take advantage of through its direct taxation scheme. Role set. Even though the women of the then Obobo district engaged in many economic activities, yet their domestic responsibilities as wives and mothers were never negatively affected in any way. They learned to avoid every excuse for domestic irresponsibility and became the prized jewels their husbands beheld all the time. I don't know about that. But women have been strong and have been really keeping things together for centuries, like for the longest time, and we continue to do so. But I think it's high time that we start raising our sons, start teaching them to get involved, so that women are not burdened with all of the load. Thank you for watching. If you liked it, please do subscribe, hit the like button, hit the like button, please. It helps my videos, okay? Anyway, and leave me a comment. Tell me what you think. Tell me the stories you've heard, what you agree with and what you do not agree with, okay? Thank you for watching. Until I see you in my next video. Bye bye.